Welcome back to the Lost Tactician, where we uncover the tactical genius hidden in history's most enduring civilizations. Today, we're stepping into the mist-shrouded forests of Scandinavia, where Viking builders achieved something that honestly defies modern understanding. Wood that has survived over 1,000 years, outlasting empires, weathering brutal Nordic storms, and resisting decay that would reduce contemporary timber to dust within just a few decades. This isn't a story of brute force or lucky accident. This is about patience weaponized, about turning time itself into the most powerful tool in their arsenal. The Vikings didn't just build with wood. They transformed it through generations into something nearly indestructible. Stand before Norway's Urnes Stave Church, built in the 11th century, and you're confronting an impossibility. The wooden planks, carved with intricate serpents and beasts, remain solid, functional, defying every principle of modern material science that says organic matter should have crumbled centuries ago. Viking longships pulled from burial mounds emerge with their clinker-built hulls still tight, still capable of holding form. These aren't isolated miracles. They're evidence of a systematic understanding of wood preservation that we're only now beginning to comprehend. Early theories credited superior carpentry skills or simply fortunate preservation conditions, but neither explanation accounts for the consistency of survival across diverse environments, from waterlogged ship graves to mountain churches exposed to relentless wind and rain. The answer lies deeper, in a process so counterintuitive to our modern rush toward efficiency that we nearly lost it entirely. The Vikings understood something fundamental. Wood isn't truly ready to build with when you cut it down. It's merely a candidate raw material that must undergo a transformation measured not in days or weeks, but in years and generations. This is the time-as kiln concept, the recognition that properly preparing timber requires allowing natural processes to fundamentally alter the wood's internal structure at a molecular level. They selected specific trees with obsessive care, seeking old-growth specimens where slow growth had created dense, tight grain patterns. The ideal timber came from trees that had endured harsh winters, their growth rings compressed by adversity into material naturally resistant to stress. But species selection was only the beginning. Pine and oak dominated their choices, not merely for strength, but for resin content and cellular structure that would respond optimally to the slow seasoning process ahead. The Nordic climate itself became an unwitting partner in this transformation. The consistent cold prevented rapid bacterial action that causes wood to rot quickly in warmer regions, while seasonal humidity cycles created a natural breathing rhythm that allowed moisture to escape gradually, rather than creating the internal fractures that plague kiln-dried lumber. Winter harvesting was, a sacred practice, timed precisely when sap had retreated deep into the roots and the wood's moisture content reached its annual minimum. Cut a tree in summer and, well, you're capturing water-logged cellular structures that will fight you for years. Cut in deep winter and you're beginning with wood already halfway through its transformation. But the Vikings didn't simply stack timber and wait. They orchestrated exposure with surgical precision, manipulating environmental conditions to achieve specific material properties. Archaeological evidence reveals deliberate underwater storage, a practice that seems contradictory until you understand the chemistry. Submerging fresh-cut logs in cold, oxygen-poor water leaches out sugars and starches, the very compounds that feed fungi and bacteria. This underwater bath, lasting months or even years, fundamentally altered the wood's vulnerability to biological attack. When finally retrieved, the timber emerged chemically transformed, its cellular structure stabilized against future colonization by decay organisms. Controlled air exposure followed, but not the random weathering modern builders might imagine. Timber was stacked with precise spacing, allowing air circulation while preventing direct sun exposure that would crack surfaces. The slow drying that resulted, taking 3 to 7 years for major structural timbers, allowed the wood's internal moisture to equilibrate perfectly with ambient humidity. This created dimensional stability unknown in modern quick-dried lumber. The wood wouldn't expand and contract with seasonal changes because it had already achieved perfect harmony with its environment during this extended seasoning period. Perhaps most remarkably, this knowledge transferred across generations as oral tradition, with master builders teaching apprentices not just how to shape wood, but how to prepare it years before the first cut of an axe. Families would plan and prepare timber that their grandchildren would eventually use, investing in material futures with patience incomprehensible to our instant gratification culture. Modern dendrochronology and material analysis have finally given us tools to understand what the Vikings achieved empirically. Core samples from surviving structures reveal wood with cellular structures fundamentally different from contemporary timber. The cell walls show resin migration and hardening that only occurs through slow, natural drying cycles. Lignin, the polymer that gives wood its structure, has stabilized into configurations that resist breakdown far beyond what kiln drying produces. Comparative tests between Viking Age wood and modern pressure-treated lumber show, interestingly enough, the ancient material actually outperforming contemporary preservation techniques in longevity trials. Scientists attempting to recreate the process, well, they face challenges of patience because you simply cannot accelerate what fundamentally requires time. Experimental archaeologists have begun multi-year projects, submerging oak and pine in controlled conditions, but honestly, the full Viking process demands a commitment that spans beyond typical research grants and really even academic careers. The Viking approach to wood reveals a philosophy of material stewardship we've abandoned in our rush toward efficiency. They invested time to create products that would serve not just them but their descendants for centuries. This patience-based engineering offers profound lessons for sustainable building practices today, suggesting that our fastest methods aren't always our best. Modern green building movements are rediscovering slow-season timber, finding it superior to industrial alternatives in both performance and environmental impact. The Vikings proved that working with natural cycles rather than against them produces results no technology can match. Their legacy isn't just exploration and conquest, it's a masterclass in reading the environment, in understanding that some transformations cannot be rushed, only guided with wisdom accumulated across generations. If you found yourself rethinking everything you thought you knew about building materials, hit that like button. The Lost Tactician exists to uncover these hidden tactical advantages from history, the ingenious solutions that made civilizations endure. Subscribe and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the survival strategies and tactical wisdom that shaped human history. Share this with anyone who appreciates that the most advanced technology isn't always the newest. Sometimes it's the oldest, tested across centuries of brutal reality. Until next time, remember, endurance isn't about strength alone. It's about understanding time itself.